Okay, this is Brendan's Zombie World. Why do we play this? Well, because Zombie World's good, and then you flip up Rivalry when your opponent tries to resolve Brendan Fusion, and now they can't summon anything because there's no Brendan Zombie. Anyway, Brendan Fusion, we can send Eldritch to the graveyard, so we automatically just have plays. Albino's here too. It could also go ahead and banish itself as well as the Fall of Elbaz. So on top of having just Eldritch already set up in the graveyard, not having to worry about whether the Scarlet Sanguine gets ashed, we have Mirror Jade, and also now that we have Sanguine, we no longer need to worry about it getting ashed because it's going to the graveyard. We're going to instead just go send to the graveyard so we can summon that Eldritch, so we can then search with the Sanguine a Conquistador. If I don't have the Solemn Judgment, I'd probably just search like the Golden Land Forever to prevent something like this, like a Harpy's Feather Duster. But since we already have Solemn Judgment, we just like say they don't have Lightning Storm. There's no way on top of the Harpy's Feather Duster. So we have ourselves some removal. We have Skill Drain, but I'm gonna try to avoid using it so we get as much value and force them to commit infinity cards. Have the Conquistador for pop. They're gonna go ahead and try to get some value, getting themselves the Vishuda to put some more pressure. Now that we know that they have some Longyaan plays in there, that's a lot more disruption than I thought I'd need. But we're gonna go ahead and banish them before they get to normal monsters so that Vishuda can't do the bouncy. And then now that they commit all these cards, they could go into the Longyaan, try to go into a quick Baton or whatever they wanted to go into. We'll just Skill Drain early so that after they committed everything, we could just go ahead and say, hey, you can't do anything. And they kill the Mirror Jade because they want to get destroyed. Because now we have that option. We could go ahead and add with Brendan, with the Albino the Brendan. Meanwhile, we destroyed them with the Mirror Jade. And then we still could go ahead and link up for Conquistador and Eldritch to make Sucker. We can't go and Brendan Fusion here, but I figured it's better here to go into getting the Eldritch out so we could go ahead and just get some more power. Then we can't draw because Eldritch technically doesn't summon from the grave, so we're just going to summon the Longyaan because we need the damage so we don't have lethal. And since we draw to Zombie World, we could just go ahead and activate Zombie World and do some fancy plays. Set Skill Drain number 2, and the Conquistador is going to be able to go ahead and banish itself so we can set another Scarlet Sanguine. On their turn, they're going to go ahead and try to do some janky Longyaan plays. But the nice thing about Scarlet Sanguine is that if we have Eldritch, we can summon any other zombie from the graveyard of the deck. And since Zombie World makes the Mirror Jade a zombie monster, we could go ahead and summon it from the graveyard. That'll also trigger Sucker's effect to give us a draw. I probably should have waited to use Mirror Jade's effect until after just to see if we drew like Ecclesia. But regardless, we have ourselves a banish, and that's just what the deck can do. Now they're gonna Brendan, and they're gonna probably get their only maxi draws forever. Since we're Eldritch, we don't care. Get your 2 extra draws. You're not gonna rip into your Harpy's Feather Duster Cope. So we're gonna do the Lebellion play. Since we already have Rivalry and we have the Zombie World, I'm just gonna go ahead and just set up the Baller Drox. So we're gonna have that since we already have Zombie World in play, which means on their turn we can now summon Baller Drox. Now we have 2 monsters that can non-target banish another monster. We also have Rivalry lock because Zombie World's on the field. So even though they're gonna go ahead and Forbidden Droplet negate both of our monster effects, no banishes for us, we can still go ahead and set up a Brendan Fusion next turn because we can still sent to the graveyard roll with a Mirror Jade. And meanwhile, Rivalry just says you can't play the game because they're not going to be able to summon non-zombies now. So beyond that, also they're playing Tri-Brigade, so that effect they try to activate with their Tri-Brigade was not to link summon, but rather to go ahead and send itself to the graveyard to send another Tri-Brigade. And basically FTK is a lot of burn decks. Alright, here's another situation where we go straight for sending the Necroworld Banshee or Baller Drock. Usually you like to go send Eldritch instead, but being able to go ahead and just set up like Rivalry Lock on top of like the Zombie Worlds is where I like to opt to go for the Banshee. And a lot of decks are just like, okay, you have 4 set, I hate you, but if they did play, we would have prevented them from doing it anyway. So here they're gonna go ahead and do their Wombo. Suddenly Link Disciple is like 7,000 other extra deck monsters, and they're being adorable, setting up a nice little sight lock for us. Oh no, our extra deck. Then they're gonna try to do the Dippy play, but that's where I'm like, alright, I'm glad I have some kind of hand trap disruption, because Dippy could be kind of frustrating scenario to deal with, especially when it's like longevity. If we don't have Skill Drain, we do have Skill Drain, but in case they accidentally pop it. So they're going to go for their backup plan, which is going to be the Halki Firebrax, allowing them to do what ends up being basically the Sight Lock into Bed into foreplay. So here I just normal summon Banshee just to get them to do their play. I kind of misplay here because I didn't go as aggressive as I should have, and I think in retrospect I realized, oh yeah, I kind of could have done more, but it's fine because never punished, because just set 5 Monkey Flip. So they're going to do the thing where they prevent us from starting with the extra deck. Meanwhile, they have been on the floor. I'm just going to go ahead and battle phase. I honestly should have cursed Outland in the main phase 1 and then my plays there, but I guess I wasn't really sure where I want to go here anyway, but whatever. Main phase 2, we're going to activate it, see if we can bait out the negate. Surprisingly, they had another way to stop the Cursed Eldritch, which is with the Ghost Ogre, but that at least gives us the ability to send Eldritch from the deck to the graveyard, so that we can then summon it using the Guardian that we just set. So this is where if we did this in main phase 1, then we would have been in a much better situation, because then we'd be able to go ahead and pop the Ben and the Fleur as well. But it's completely fine. Cope. So we're going to go ahead and banish the Guardian so we can send Sanguine, and since we have Eldritch now, we can go ahead and summon an Eldritch Zombie. So we could go ahead and summon our Baller Papa. So we have our Zombie World Papa combo live. So before they start popping, we're going to go Banshee, banish so we can play Zombie World, and since the zombie effect is activating, we could chain Baller Drock to non-targetedly banish a monster on the field or in the graveyards. So we're doing this so we could bait out their negate, so we could then flip a Monkey Flip and then say, actually no effects. And now they could get over us, but now we could just easily keep on bringing back both Eldritch as well as the Doom King Baller Drock, as long as we have Zombie World, and of course they have Harpy's Thunder Duster because their gaming is high quality. So we're going to say no to that, and they could just go ahead and destroy us, and it's not going to matter for anything because our monsters just keep coming back, and it's wonderful, and it's great. So Baller Papa is here, and Baller Papa is pretty top tier. We can go ahead and link off both to make the Vampire Sucker now, so we have some value. We have Sanguine in the graveyard, so we could just summon Eldritch full free, and we're going to just send Hakito here so that we can, and now we could just be bigger than Baron de Fleur. We don't get to draw again with the Vampire Sucker because technically Eldritch is summoning from the hand, even though the effect starts in the graveyard. So we're going to destroy the Baron, then we're going to attack for 1600. Not that it would matter, Sucker wouldn't be able to draw with Skill Drain anyway, but we're going to set the Dogmatic Punishment for just more pressure, and then we're going to go banish the Kiddo so we could get ourselves Elixir of Scarlet Sanguine. And we don't really have any other targets besides another Eldritch in the decks, but from the graveyard, let's say if they activate a Call by the Grave to try to banish Baller Drock, we could just chain the Sanguine to special summon it instead and then dodge a Call by. So they're going to go ahead and try to play the game. They suddenly have an Adventure Engine, and also the fact that they're playing Cyber's cards, Zombie World stops them from going into their Cyber's Link monsters, so they just can't actually play the Cyber's component, which is the majority of their component. So they're going to try to cope and disrupt us with the adventure package, so which we say no, Dogmatica is really good. And since we sent Albino, we're going to be able to go ahead and send Breaded or search Breaded Fusion. We can't use the next turn because of Dogmatic Punishment, but it's just something that we have, plus we're thinning the deck. We could have sent Titan Cloud instead to search Ecclesia, and that's always a play. So, but I guess there I just didn't because of Skill Drain, but it was totally valid. Here we're doing just to send Eldritch play and coping that they don't have Call by the Grave, which they don't seem to because they're really focused on the Mirror Jade. So they saved their Mass Change so they could use the Mass Change as a forbidden droplet cost. So they could then negate the Albino, but that was good for us because then we were able to successfully send the Eldritch to the graveyard without having to worry about it getting banished from Darklaw. So we just go ahead, quadruple back row set, and we're met with just the most ridiculousness, which is Aluber in Heroes into Breaded Fusion. But Rivalry is a good card, so no longer can they summon non-warriors because that is what they choose. So as they go ahead, they attack into us. They're going to try to pop with the Sunrise. That's when I'm going to go and flip the Skill Drain. So at that point, they're committed to the attack and they're forced to crash. Then we summon the Hakiro. They're negated, so it just goes to the graveyard, which means we could go ahead and have follow-up. And Albino is going to try to go ahead and allow us to search, but unfortunately Ash Blossom is a good card, but that's okay. Baller Papa is kind of stuck in the hand, but, you know, typically heroes don't really care about Rivalry outside of Zombie World being live, so we're just going to send to the graveyard to add back Eldritch, and then we're going to summon Baller Papa instead. Their 800 attack can't be destroyed until the end of the next turn. We're going to destroy the Dark Law, and that's going to be the end of our turn. We're going to be able to go ahead and banish that Kiddo, which is going to allow us to go ahead and set another Sanguine, and that's just too much pressure for them to deal with. Now, here's what happens when you just draw crap. You just Zombie World into Rivalry, and Necroworld Banshee to protect the Zombie World, and then when you see birds, you just say, okay, you lose the duel, because you actually can't play the game. So, it's fine. They're going to go ahead and additionally summon nothing, because Rivalry says that you have only zombies, so you're going to have to stick with zombies. They're going to Book of Lunas, because it's Duel Links now, and then they're going to go ahead and get rid of us. So that's kind of scary, but that's fine, because just any monster, and now you literally can pressure us in any way. So even if you brick, it's fine, because it's birds. Alright, so now here's another situation. We have Zombie World. So if you do decide to play Glow Bloom, here's some like the fancy plays you could do with Glow Bloom specifically, where you could Lebellion off of like the Breaded Fusion, discarding another card to, so that we could then go ahead and send the Glow Bloom while Zombie World is up. And we would try to go ahead and do a fusion play here. They're negating the Mirror Jade summon, which is fine, because Glow Bloom, which gets chain blocked by the Lebellion. We chain link 1 Glow Bloom affecting Grave, chain link 2 Lebellion to dodge Ash. allows us to summon from the deck the Doom King Ballardrock. Now they set themselves the Edgem Chain, which they're going to try to search for the fight with Patrick with, but we have Ballardrock turning that Edgem Chain as a zombie so we can negate its effect since it's not the damage step. So now we just have more pressure. We have Ballardrock with negate as well as not targeting banish. We have Solemn, we have Imperm, we have Sanguine. All of that, they were forced to try to stop our big play with Forbidden Droplet, and we just had more big plays on top of that. So here's another situation where we just Zombie World into Glow Bloom Send with the Burn Fusion, allowing us to go Lebellion. We have 2 Akitos, so it's okay if we discard one anyway. So we're going to Chain Link 1 again, Glow Bloom, so we could dodge Ash by chain blocking with the Chain Link 2 Lebellion, discarding Kakito, which is going to allow us to go ahead and search later on the Sanguine, so that we could have an Eldritch alongside that second Akito. We go ahead, summon Ballardrock, we summon the Mirror Jade, and we do some damage. We are playing some jank burn decks right now, and that's okay, because you know what? It's fine. We're going to go ahead, set up. This is like kind of an example of what happens if you decide to play Super Poly. Again, I wasn't really playing much Super Poly once I finished my Diamond 1 client, but it's a cute card that can enable some really fun plays. So, you know, we have Mirror Jade banishing. If they had another monster that we want to get rid of, we have Ballardrock being able to chain. Since Mirror Jade is a zombie under Zombie World, we summon the Eldritch, and since we sent Albino to the graveyard, we get another Red Infusion, so we're just kind of popping off. Red Infusion number 2 is going to activate. We're going to go ahead and summon Lebellion number 2, just because why not? We have another Akira. I don't think we really need so much, so we're going to discard it so we could return the Albino as well as the Fallen Bound, so we can summon ourselves the Titanclad. Titanclad sent to the graveyard is going to allow us to go ahead and search the Ecclesia if we play it, and it's a nice way of searching Dogmatic Punishment as well as putting more pressure. And on the field, it's just a beater that could be protected against extra deck monsters temporarily. So this person's trying to burn the hell out of us, so if we play Gozen Match, we could just say, hey, let's keep Darks, but if they try to desert us justly, we're just going to Super Poly. If they had 2 monsters on the field, they would automatically be the Valid Fusion materials to summon that Draco, Necro, Nether Soul Dragon, because it just requires 2 zombies, which Zombie World would make them zombies. So, but, you know, just for BM,